as well as series. These are some of the cover pages of SRS and SRCs that we have. These are our donors, international and national donors and CSR partners with whom we are working and implementing many projects and programs over the past 4 decades. So the current center where I'm currently sitting and hosting, this is the center which is close to Outer Ring Road at Hyderabad, which is a 20 acres fully equipped campus, which has its own conference hall, classrooms, seminar halls, as well as residential block, which can host events, as well as also host the startups who can sit and work from here. We have a co-working space for startups as well. This is our contact details. These are our contact details, which has social media handles on the left and our campus addresses, website, as well as my email ID. If you want to reach out to me for anything or want to share a feedback, please feel free to reach out to me. With that, let me get into the actual core session. So we have 3 panelists with us today. We're very glad to have such experienced panelists today. So the first, let me introduce the panel before going ahead in the order of what we see. The first panelist we have is Professor M. Panduranga Rao. Professor is a retired professor from NIT National Institute of Technology in Warangal. He's also founder of Kakatiya Heritage Trust. He has contributed richly to water resource management, heritage conservation, education sector, and healthcare. He has played a pivotal role in tackling the acute drought situation during 1972 and 73, and in solving drinking water crisis for the Warangal Municipal Corporation. He has been advising the government of Andhra Pradesh on irrigation projects for many years. Professor Rao has also played an important role as convener of INTAC. I think most of us know INTAC is a reputed heritage conservation organization, Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage. So he played a convener role for 25 years, and he was instrumental in preserving several archaeological sites in India. He's also published books on engineering and technological achievements during Kakatiya period, hands-on heritage, and utilization of Godavari waters in new millennium. He is editor of proceedings of National Seminar on Irrigation Technology of Kakatiyas. He also wrote a book on impact of Babli and 11 other projects on Sriram Sagar projects and socioeconomic implications for Telangana. And he, with so much of work in the background, so he earned several awards such as Meritorious Service, Republic Day Honor, and Independence Day Honor. So Professor is also a social activist who has left an indelible mark on conservation and preservation of Kakatiya history and monuments. I'm sure he had a big role. He played a vital role in getting the tag for our Ramappa temple recently, so which has got the International Heritage tag. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. We are really glad to have you with us today. With that, let me introduce.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sir. Let me introduce the second panelist, Shoury Reddy. He's the Executive Director of BV-CSRB. She's a reputed non-profit community development organization in India. He's working with the organization since its inception in 1991 and has played a vital role in making BV-CSRB a globally influencing organization. For the past 30 years, he has innovated some of the best community development project models in the country, which have inspired social sector stakeholders. Not only that, also the corporates as well as governments. Under his leadership, over 1,200 community water plants have been set up so far. He came up with one of its kind Sujal Anytime Water Kiosk for the urban areas and played a decisive role in restoring over 765 minor irrigation tanks and constructing over 1,000 farm ponds. He has been instrumental in forging several high-value CSR partnerships for BV-CSRB. His consistent efforts led to recognition of BV-CSRB projects as one of the best development models in the country by Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. Currently, his energies are focused on turning the current center, BV-CSRB Internet Center, into a center of excellence, promoting social entrepreneurship and responsible business. So we warmly welcome you, sir, to the session. And our third panelist, Mr. Purvash Jha. Mr. Jha leads CSR, employee volunteering and communications at Pernod Ricard India, having graduated from TIS Mumbai in social work. He is skilled at program management, participatory community engagement, enterprise development, social business planning and development communication. Apart from that, he is also passionate about action research focused on responsible travel and sustainable tourism in Himalayas. So welcome, Mr. Jha, to the session. We are glad to have you here. And he is representing the corporate companies of India. We have NGO representative, Mr. Shoury Reddy from BV-CSRB, and we have academic and heritage natural resource expert, Professor Panduranga Rao. So with that panel, let me get into the session. The webinar agenda that we have, which has been circulated during the registration. So these are the 4 key points that we are going to cover during the session. About farm ponds as effective development models, role of farm ponds in agriculture and natural resource management, and the concept innovation in farm ponds, feasibility advantages, as well as challenges, and knowledge sharing on practical aspects, case studies, and a video which I'm going to show next. So the session is going to last around 1 hour 15 minutes, including Q&A. So with that, let me get into the actual session. So we know we have so many options available in water conservation, irrigation, farming, so which includes small scale irrigation project, lakes, check dams, and stone bunds and recharge pits. So there are so many options that are available. So at least I am convinced that farm ponds are one of the most unique options that we have, cost-effective options that we have. But I'm not the expert to conclude that. So we have 3 panelists who are going to talk on it and conclude what exactly is farm ponds is all about and why we should adopt farm ponds in our agriculture and for the development of nation, as well as align them to the SDGs. So with that, let me show you a small video before we get into the session, before we put questions to our panelists. So let me share a video for 4 minutes, then we can go ahead. So we have 2 hand raises here from Sri Ramalu and Pranav. So kindly put your questions or any concerns on the chat box so that we'll address them. If you have any question or anything, please drop in the Q&A. Thank you. So I'll play just for 2 seconds and test if everyone is getting the audio or not.
మా విలేజ్ లో కూడా అందరూ వర్షం మీద ఆధారపడి వ్యవసాయం చేసే రైతులే
Is it audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
ఉన్నారు. బోర్లు వర్షం వచ్చినప్పుడు అవి ఫుల్గా పోయడం, తర్వాత అది ఆకుండా పోయడం, కొన్ని పోవడము. బాయిలు ఉన్నా కానీ బాయిలు కూడా ఏమంత వాటర్ ఎక్కువ రాకపోవడము, 1 ఎకరం కూడా పారేటట్టు లేదు.
నీళ్లు లేకపోవడం వల్ల ఇక మా పొలంలో సరిగా పంటలు లేక, మా పొలంలో పనులు లేక అప్పుల పాలయ్యి అప్పులు ఎట్లా అని చెప్పేసి బయటికి కూళ్ళకు కూడా వెళ్ళడం జరిగింది. పొలమైనా కూరగాయల చెట్లైనా ఏవైనా కానీ మనకు అందుబాటులో నీళ్లు ఉంటే మనం ఎప్పుడంటే అప్పుడు చేసుకోవచ్చు కదా పనులు.
నీటి కొరతను సమర్థవంతంగా ఎదుర్కోవడానికి సాగునీటి అవసరాలను మెరుగుపరిచి రైతులను పంట నష్టాల నుంచి తప్పించడానికి, రాష్ట్రానికి దేశానికి ఆహార భద్రతను సమకూర్చడానికి బాల వికాస సంస్థ పొలం కుంటలను నిర్మించడం ద్వారా గత 5 ఏళ్లుగా ప్రత్యేక కృషి చేస్తోంది. మిషన్ జల వికాస అనే ప్రతిష్టాత్మక కార్యక్రమం ద్వారా 20,000 మంది రైతులను చైతన్యపరిచి బహుళ ప్రయోజనాలు కలిగిన పొలం కుంటలను నిర్మించాలని ఒక మహాయజ్ఞానికి బాల వికాస శ్రీకారం చుట్టింది.
బాల వికాస వాళ్ళు పెట్టిన సదస్సు మీటింగ్ ఇవన్నిటికీ అటెండ్ అయ్యి దాని గురించి లాభం ఏంది అన్ని కరెక్ట్గా తెలుసుకున్న తర్వాతే కొంచెం అవగాహన వచ్చింది. ఇప్పుడు ఒకప్పుడు కదా వచ్చేది వర్షం నీరు, నీళ్లు గుంతలు తీసుకుంటే ఆ వర్షం నీరు గింతలోకి వచ్చి అవి ఇనికి మనకు నీళ్లు బావిలో అయినా బోర్లో అయినా కొంచెం డెవలప్ ఉంటుంది కదా, వాటర్ ఆ లెవెల్ పెరుగుద్ది కదా అని చెప్పేసి గుంతలు తీసుకోవడం జరిగింది.
Sorry for the interruption. I think there is some of them are not getting the video properly. So just or my colleague Shiva will play it directly. Shiva, please play the video.
మా విలేజ్లో కూడా అందరూ వర్షం మీద ఆధారపడి వ్యవసాయం చేసే రైతులే ఉన్నారు. బోర్లు వర్షం వచ్చినప్పుడే అవి ఫుల్గా పోయడము, తర్వాత అది ఆకుండా పోయడం, కొన్ని పోవడము. బావిలు ఉన్నా కానీ బావిలు కూడా ఏమంత వాటర్ ఎక్కువ రాకపోవడము, ఒక ఎకరం కూడా పారేటట్టు లేదు.
నీళ్లు లేకపోవడం వల్ల ఇక మా పొలంలో సరిగా పంటలు లేక, మా పొలంలో పనులు లేక అప్పుల పాలయ్యి అప్పులు ఎట్లా అని చెప్పేసి బయటికి కూలకు కూడా వెళ్ళడం జరిగింది. పొలమైనా కూరగాయల చెట్లైనా ఏవైనా కానీ మనకు అందుబాటులో నీళ్లు ఉంటే మనం ఎప్పుడంటే అప్పుడు చేసుకోవచ్చు కదా పనులు.
నీటి కొరతను సమర్థవంతంగా ఎదుర్కోవడానికి సాగునీటి అవసరాలను మెరుగుపరిచి రైతులను పంట నష్టాల నుంచి తప్పించడానికి, రాష్ట్రానికి దేశానికి ఆహార భద్రతను సమకూర్చడానికి బాల వికాస సంస్థ పొలం కుంటలను నిర్మించడం ద్వారా గత 5 ఏళ్లుగా ప్రత్యేక కృషి చేస్తోంది. మిషన్ జల వికాస అనే ప్రతిష్టాత్మక కార్యక్రమం ద్వారా 20,000 మంది రైతులను చైతన్యపరిచి బహుళ ప్రయోజనాలు కలిగిన పొలం కుంటలను నిర్మించాలని ఒక మహాయజ్ఞానికి బాల వికాస శ్రీకారం చుట్టింది.
బాల వికాస వాళ్ళు పెట్టిన సదస్సు మీటింగ్ ఇవన్నిటికీ అటెండ్ అయ్యి దాని గురించి లాభం ఏంది అన్నీ కరెక్ట్గా తెలుసుకున్న తర్వాతే కొంచెం అవగాహన వచ్చింది. ఇప్పుడు ఒకప్పుడు కదా వచ్చేది వర్షం నీరు, నీళ్లు గుంతలు తీసుకుంటే ఆ వర్షం నీరు గింతలోకి వచ్చి అవి ఇనికి మనకు నీళ్లు బావిలో అయినా బోర్లో అయినా కొంచెం డెవలప్ ఉంటుంది కదా, వాటర్ ఆ లెవెల్ పెరుగుద్ది కదా అని చెప్పేసి గుంతలు తీసుకోవడం జరిగింది.
పాంపండు తీయక ముందు నెర్రెలు వాసేది భూమి. పాంపండు తీసిన తర్వాత వర్షం నీళ్లు తీసుకొచ్చి దీంట్లో నిల్వ చేసుకున్న కంచెలు ఇంకో ఎకరం 20 గుంటలు ఎక్కువ చేసుకుంటున్నాం. భూమి పగుళ్ళు లేకుండా ఎప్పటికీ పదనొస్తుంది. దాని చుట్టుపక్క ఏరియా కూడా తేమ శాతం ఉన్నది.
అంత ముందుకు నీళ్లకు ఒక 2 కిలోమీటర్ల దూరం వాగులో పోయి చెరలో పోయి రైతులు పెట్టుకొచ్చుకునేది. ఇప్పుడు ఎవరి బావి కాడ వాళ్ళకే నీళ్ళు పెట్టుకోవడానికి కూడా యూజ్ అవుతుంది. ఆవులు కానీ బర్రెలు కానీ అందులో నీళ్ళు పెట్టుకోవడం జరుగుతుంది. చుట్టూ కూరగాయలు పెట్టుకోవడం కానీ పళ్ళ చెట్లు పెట్టుకోవడం కానీ బావికాడికి వచ్చినప్పుడు ఒక ఆహ్లాదంగా ఉంటుంది దీని చుట్టూ చూస్తే.
గతంలో ఎడారిగా ఉన్నటువంటి ప్రాంతం ఇప్పుడు బాల వికాస్ వాళ్ళు వచ్చి మాకు చేసిన ఈ నీళ్ళని చూస్తే చాలా సంతోషం అనిపిస్తుంది. ఈ ఫామ్ ఫండ్ వల్ల మాకు నీళ్లు భూగర్భ జలాలు పెరిగి ఇంతకుముందు ఎండిపోయినటువంటి బోర్ బావులు కూడా ఇప్పుడు నీళ్లు ఈ ఊటతో మాకు బోర్లలో నీళ్ళు వెళ్తున్నాయి. ఆ నీళ్ళతో మాకు కొంచెం అంతర్ పంటగా కూరగాయల పంటలు పండించుకుంటాను. మాకు బాల వికాస్ వాళ్ళు కొన్ని చెట్లు కూడా ఇచ్చారు, పండ్ల చెట్లు ఇచ్చారు. ఇప్పుడు మేము ఫామ్ ఫండ్ మీద చెట్లు కూడా పెట్టాము. మాకు కొంత వాతావరణ కాలుష్యాన్ని తగ్గించడానికి కూడా ఉపయోగపడుతున్నాయి.
ఈ పొలం కుంట అంటే దాని విలువ ఏందనేది మాకు అంతకుముందు తెలియలేదు. మనిషి బతకడానికి గుండె ఎంత అవసరమో పొలం కుంట ఒక రైతుకు ఉంటే అంత బలం. 2 గుంటల జాగపోతే దానివల్ల నష్టం అవుతుంది అనుకున్నాం, కానీ ఇప్పుడు దానివల్ల యూజ్ ఏంటంటే కనీసం ఒక 20-25 వేల లాభం ఆ కుంటతో ఉన్నది. ఇప్పుడు నాకు ఒక ఆగి పోసే బోరు ఉండే, నాకు కొంచెం గొప్ప పోసేది. ఆ బోర్ నీళ్ళు అందులో పెట్టిన వర్షం నీళ్ళు అందులోకే వస్తాయి. దాంతో ఊట మర్రింది, నీళ్ళు ఎక్కువైనాయి. కనీసం 10 గుంటల వారని పొలం కూడా నాకు ఎకరం పొలం బారుతుంది. దాంట్లో చేపలు తీసుకొచ్చి ఒక 1000 పిల్లలు తీసుకొచ్చి అలా పోసిన ఆ చేపలు అమ్ముకుంటే వచ్చాయి నాకు 11,000 రూపాయలు వచ్చినాయి. ఈ ఒక్క కుంటతోటి ఈ కుంట ఏంది, దీని లాభం ఏంది, దీని కథ ఏందని తెలుసుకొని అందరు రైతులు ప్రతి ఒక్క ఎకరం 2 ఎకరాల రైతు కూడా తప్పకుండా ఈ పొలం కుంట తీయాలని మా ఊళ్ళో ఒక 80 కుంటలు తీపిచ్చినాం.
ఇలాంటి పథకాలన్నీ తీసుకొచ్చినందుకు రైతులందరికీ అండగా ఉన్నందుకు బాల వికాసకి థ్యాంక్స్ చెప్తున్నాను.
రండి, కదలి రండి. బహుళ ప్రయోజనాలు సమకూరుస్తున్న ఈ జల వికాస పథకాన్ని మీరు కూడా బాల వికాస సంస్థ సహకారంతో చేపట్టి సుస్థిరాభివృద్ధిని సాధించండి.
Thank you, Siva. Thank you for playing the video. I think now we have overview of what is farm ponds from this video. Though it is in Telugu, I think some of you might not understand, but the pictorial depiction, I think you would have understood what is all about. So now we will hear more from the panelists. So let me start with the most experienced panelist we have with us today, Professor Pandurangaru Garu. So, sir, let me ask you first question. Is there any historical, cultural, and ecological significance of farm ponds? So, according to you, what do you think?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be a part of this excellent program being organized by Bal Vikas on sustainable management of natural resources through farm ponds. In fact, the water resources dates back to the prehistoric times. The civilization has survived only on the banks of rivers, the perennial rivers. And now we are living in a wonderful Kakatiya dynasty, which ruled us for over 300 years from 11th to 14th centuries. And they have created beautiful water resources. They have done extraordinary planning for conserving every drop of water. So they have created, as per our satellite imageries, 46,000 tanks in the entire Telangana region. And our mission Kakatiya, which Bal Vikas is doing some of the restoration activities of the tanks, is the flagship program of Government of Telangana. And through this process, we are reviving all the water bodies that were created by the great Kakatiyas. And we have two major river basins. We have Godavari River on the north and Krishna River Basin in the south, almost 50-50, covering the entire Telangana region. So the water resources planning is not of today. It's there since times immemorial. And I'm very happy Bal Vikas has taken up the responsibility of doing an excellent restoration activities, conservation activities, and implementing some of these farm ponds to rural development for improving the agrarian economy of the common man. I'm very happy. I have seen the beautiful videos. Very congratulations to Bal Vikas for taking a pioneering work in some of the villages and enhancing their capabilities and empowering them to earn much more than what they were doing. Now, Warangal and the part of Telangana is on sometimes a dry climate. Sometimes the droughts are so persistent. I have been in NIT since 1962. I was a faculty in NIT since 1962. So I know how the climatic changes are being experienced by us since 62 till today. The hydrological cycle has changed very badly. And you have high precipitation. In the recent past, we had 34 centimeters of water in a couple of days. We had 20 centimeters in 24 hours. So the hydrological cycle is highly erratic. And in view of all these exigencies, in view of all these problems, the creation of a farm pond, with my exposure to various aspects of field, rural development, agrarian economy, and associated with the Kakatiya farm ponds, Kakatiya water bodies for the last 45-50 years. We are so thrilled to see that the bright face of some of the farmers who have enjoyed the fruits of these beautiful farm ponds. In fact, I have seen quite a few farm ponds in some of my friends' villages, and also farm ponds created by the Balavikas. And it's an excellent program. And all rainwater that is collected in the lowest level, creating a farm pond, maybe 5% of the area. And sometimes people think, why to waste this small area? Because they are already having very small holdings, maybe an acre, 2 acres. So they think, why should we waste our 5% or 10% of the area? We can cultivate something more and get some produce out of it. But having seen the performance of the farm ponds and um, the, the outcome that has come out of these farm ponds is really excellent. And I, with my association with water resources, I have been primarily responsible for utilizing floodwaters of Godavari in 1984. And we have planned for a flood flow canal and a mid-Mandir dam in 1984. With my students, we have made a 3-dimensional model. So we have been in water resources management, water harnessing the water resources, and the beautiful chain link tanks, the garland of tanks created by great Kakatiyas. They're all great assets. But in spite of all these things, the small farmers suffer for want of small water. And through the help of these farm ponds, we can create beautiful avenues. We can enhance their livelihood. We can enhance their living standards. This is exactly what the great Kakatiyas have done. Now we are trying to improve upon these water bodies and enhance the capabilities. And we also have, in the government of Telangana has planned for a number of lift irrigation projects. Kaleshwaram is one of the marvels of the world. And similarly, the Devadala project, they are all lift irrigation projects trying to lift water from Godavari surplus water and fill all the water bodies. So you are going to have a beautiful enhancement of water resources with the creation of farm ponds. It will enhance much more and strengthen the hands of the people who are holding these farm ponds and enhance the agrarian economy in rural development. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And thank you for giving the big picture of like what is farm pond. It's not just about small thing, but you talked about how it has been implemented from Kakatiya dynasty. I'm surprised to see we have 46,000 lakes, tanks just in Telangana, and how you mentioned about how the climate has been changing from 1960s and how it is affecting the precipitation pattern, all of them. And coming back to land holding, so despite you losing some land towards creating the farm pond, still it's giving a very good outcome for the small farmers. So with that big picture, so let us get insights from Mr. Shoury Reddy on like what exactly is farm pond implementation is all about, and how can we do it, what are the methods of it, and also about some technical details of if some of the participants, if they are going to start a program, so they would probably want to look at what are the minute details of how farm pond is being implemented, what are the costs involved, and how it is going to work, the working model, and what kind of benefits that a farmer or the one who is farm holder would have from the farm pond. So over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Vijay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, please.
Okay. Yeah. So namaste to all the panel members and also especially to all the participants coming from different corporates, NGOs, and different backgrounds. We are very happy to meet all of you on this online platform. So as Vijay said, the main purpose of this event is to create awareness on the importance of farm ponds in conservation, water conservation practices. So I'll just try to share you how BV-CSRB is doing. Many are doing this kind of projects, but we will try to share you the economic technology or the approach of BV-CSRB in doing the farm pond projects. So as you see here, we have started this project in 2015. And much before this, we have renovated 800 irrigation tanks by desilting them. Almost in 1999, we started this tank desiltation project, and that program became a model to the governments of Andhra Pradesh or Telangana government. So
Sir,
this,
sorry to interrupt you. I think PPT is not visible. So we are seeing a screen, but we can't see the presentation.
you cannot see?
We can't see the presentation.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, please.
I will share again.
Yeah.
Can you see now?
Yes, yes. Now we can see. Yes.
So as you see here, we started the farm ponds in the year 2015, and we have completed until now 1,500 farm ponds with the involvement of 1,500 farmers, which covers 9 districts in Telangana state. And this is funded by different international funding agencies and also corporate partners. So we have 2 international funding organizations, and we have 2 local corporate companies. To share with you how we are doing, in Balavikasa, our approach is we build the communities before building the project. Building the project is the physical thing, be it a tank or a water plant or a school building or whatever it is. We call them as a physical components. So before building any physical component in a development sector, our approach is we build the community, because that is what makes the people really own the project and manage the project in a later stage. So our approach is called community-driven development approach. So for this process, what we try to do is first we mobilize and motivate the community, and then creation of committees and building the capacity of these committees so that they can actually plan, mobilize, motivate, monitor the entire development process at the village level. And then we also try to mobilize the local resources including human resources, financial resources, and also local physical and natural resources, so that the program actually becomes asset-based community development, local resource-based development. And then, see, this is how we try to conduct a lot of meetings at the village level to create awareness on the importance of farm pond. Why it is important for an individual farmer to own this pond in his own land. And then to motivate them or to ignite them, we conduct training programs at Balavikasa, and also we bring them for exposure to other villages where other farmers have already constructed the farm pond and how they are benefiting in a multiple manner. Not only drinking, not only getting water, but also cultivating fish. Many other benefits are there. So we try to bring them for exposure and then motivate them. And then the next step is, after motivating people and after building the capacity of the leaders, our next step is resource mobilization. So here what we mobilize is, we motivate the farmers to allocate 220 square meters of land to construct this farm pond. And we also motivate the farmers to contribute about 6,000 to 7,000 rupees to pay the cost of the tractor rental. This is actually a one-day work. If you hire a machine, it's just one-day activity. So the farmer need to rent 3 tractors to shift this excavated mud from the farm pond, and then they apply it, wherever their farm is, up and down, to fill the low-lying areas like that. So they will try to fill it. So we ask the farmer to contribute about 6,000 to 7,000 rupees, which is actually in the form of tractor rentals. And then the donor contribution to the program is providing excavator as an incentive to the farmers. So this is costing, almost 425 cubic meters of silt of mud is excavated from the farm pond. So for that, we ask our donors to contribute this money. So this is almost 30% is paid by the beneficiary, and 70% is paid by the donor in our project model. And then coming to the farm pond design, as you see here, it is a 15 meter by 15 meter length and width, and then 3 meter deep, 9 meter. When you go down, we actually built in a slope area, right? You cannot construct a farm pond straight like this because there is no concrete wall, so it collapses. So not to collapse, what we do is we build in a slope area, right? The top is 15 by 15 and the bottom will be 9 by 9. So average will be 12 meter by 12 meter, right? And then 3 meter, 4.2 meter depth. And then we also build a bund, 3 sides of the pond. And then one side is open where the water is flowing into the pond. So generally what we do is we select an area in the farmer's land where it is very slopy area, where there is a flow coming in. The water is not necessarily only from his farm, but also from his neighboring farms also, the water comes and gets stored in the farm pond. So the capacity of the farm pond is 430 cubic meters, which is equal to 430,000 liters. So how we calculate the actual benefit of this farm pond is, when the farm pond is completely filled like this, it is 430,000 liters. But generally what happens is during the monsoon season, when the tank is full like this, if you keep it like this for 1 week or 10 days, 2 feet, 3 feet of water will go down because the water will be going into the ground, right? So at least 1 meter or 2 feet water will be going down in 1 to 10 days. And then that water will be again refilled with the next rain after 10 days. So from June to October, November, we have series of rains. So as the water is going down, it is getting refilled. So our approximate estimate is every farm pond will be getting 3 times filled, right? Let's say every week, 2 feet percolation and 2 feet filling up, right? In that way, we estimated it will be filling 3 full capacities, which will be like 12 lakh liters water will be stored by this farm pond. And then the other benefit, what we try to do here is, we try to motivate the farmers to plant some saplings, especially the fruit-bearing saplings. Why we do this is, generally when we ask the farmers to allocate the land, they say we are losing the land for the farm pond. So we motivate them, why don't you cultivate some fruit variety of plants so that you can generate revenue or have access to some nutritious diet, papaya, sitafal, some pomegranate, which are, you don't need much care or much water. So even in summertime, when the farmer is not there in the field, the plants can still survive and give access to fruits. And then another very interesting thing, what we innovated, farm pond construction is not something what Bala Vikasa innovated. Even the government of India through NREGS program, they are also promoting construction of farm ponds, maybe 6 feet or 5 feet deep, they are also promoting. But the farmers are not coming forward to construct the farm pond even when the government is doing free with the labor. Why? Because they are not seeing much benefit from the farm pond. They are thinking, water conservation, long-term benefit, who cares for long-term benefit, right? So they're not ready for long-term benefit. They are ready for immediate benefits, right? So we try to motivate them in a different way. And then we innovated, because from June to November, December, almost 6 months, the pond is going to have water. So if you can put some fish in this farm pond during June, July, you still have 4 to 5 months of time to cultivate the fish, right? So with that innovative idea, we encourage the farmers to cultivate fish. And, surprisingly, the farmers were able to generate rupees 5,000 to 10,000 rupees per farm pond. If you look at the farmers' economics, cultivating a normal crop, after taking out all the expenses, making 10,000 net profit is very, very hard, right? He may get 40,000 revenue, 60,000 revenue, but take out the investment of cultivation, pesticides, labor, right? His own labor and investment cost, all those things, he hardly makes a net profit of 10 to 15,000 rupees for a good crop. So here, in Telugu we call 2 guntas, which is 120 square yards is 1 gunta in locally how we call it, right? So 240 square yards, which is like 5% of the acre, right? So you are able to generate 1 acre net profit. So this is triggering. Now looking at this fish cultivation opportunity, the farmers are coming forward. Yes, sir, we also want to have the farm pond, which is good for irrigation, which is good for groundwater storing, which is good for plantation, which is good for many purposes. So with this innovation, we have been trying this model for the last 3 years, and farmers are very good in cultivating the fish. So as we see here, the outcomes of the program are improved groundwater table, improved irrigation facility, and improved income through increased production and also through fish cultivation. And if you look at the success story of one farmer, this farmer was able to increase 20% of his borewell yield because of the farm pond right next to the borewell. Because he has a borewell with 3 acres of land, and the bore was not giving good output. No. Then with the farm pond having right next to the borewell, it increased the output. So he was able to give 2 irrigations more than the previous year. So the 2 extra irrigations helped him to increase the production by 20%, which means 20% increase in his income also. So similarly, a farmer who do not have a borewell, and that farmer tried some borewells, but borewells are not successful in his area. Therefore, he is completely depending on rain-fed. And rain-fed, what happens? Sometimes you are cultivating a very good crop, but exactly 1 month before or 2 weeks before the harvest, you need a rain, you need an irrigation, but there is no rain. Then our entire crop is dry because there is no rain just before you harvest, or the same. And then the farmer is losing entire crop. So this facility of storing water in his own farm, he is able to irrigate from the farm pond, direct irrigation. He has no borewell, he has no open well, but he is irrigating the water from the farm pond and trying to save his crop. So this is a risk mitigation opportunity for the farmers. And then, as you see, the farmer, average, they are making about 7,000 rupees in one single farm pond. In 6 months, it is becoming, 1 kg, some farmers, 3/4 of a kg, like that. So these are the multiple benefits of, having a farm pond, and then having access to nutritious fruits on the pond buds. They have papaya, they have custard apple, they have guava fruits, which are, very dry, even summertime, not much water also, they will try to survive. So these are the multiple benefits, which is actually encouraging the farmers to take up the farm pond activity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Such a detailed presentation, from approach to different stories, success stories, everything. Like we almost know everything about farm pond by looking at the presentation. That's wonderful. So many benefits, so many solutions that you have offered, and the innovations. So we have seen all the positives of what farm pond is all about. But can you also share us some of the challenges in implementation? Because it's not as simple as we see, because you have done all the hardship and shown us only the outer outcomes, the positives. But we also want to hear what are the challenges that you have faced, and are there any critical success factors that we need to look into when we are starting a farm pond program?
Yeah, definitely there are some challenges. But with the right approach, we were able to overcome those challenges. One main thing was farmers were not ready to spare their land. For example, a farmer having just only 2 acres, and if you ask him to, allocate part of his land for water harvesting, they will not be ready. They say, "Sir, we are losing money." Then we try to make them calculate the economics, right? So if you are cultivating any good crop, your net profit per 1 acre is about, let's say, 15,000 rupees. That's maximum, right? Net profit I'm talking about. And if you are allocating 2 guntas, which is 240 square yards of land, how much will you really lose? It's hardly 500 to 1,000 rupees. If you are allocating this 2 guntas of land for the farm pond, you are hardly losing 500 rupees to 1,000 rupees of your net profit. And look at the benefits that you can have by having a farm pond, right? So we need to do business with the farmers. We need to make them think of, the economics, right? Losing. What are you losing? 1,000 rupees. But what if you make 10,000 rupees by losing 1,000 rupees, right? So we try to motivate them. We try to calculate them economics and all those things. And that made us to encourage more farmers, especially the fish cultivation, which is encouraging extra revenue to the farmers. And then the papaya, the guava, the lemon tree, so many plants around. Any day they go, they're able to harvest, one variety of fruit, 500 rupees is actually, if somebody is buying fruits in the market, it's 1 month bill, right? So 1 month bill of fruit they are able to get from their own farm pond, right? So these are economical aspects, but at the same time, we have, as I said, Bala Vikasa approach is build the community before building project. We just don't go to the community saying that I'll give you water pond, right? I'm here to help you for water pond. Let us try to concentrate our efforts in creating awareness, creating motivation, creating unity, and creating leaders who can actually lead the entire process at the village level. And then another challenge for us is this program can be implemented only for a 6 to 8 months max. Why? Because from June to November, you have a crop. When you have a crop, you cannot bring the excavators into the farmers' lands, right? So the season available for this farm pond is only maximum 8 months, but comfortably 6 months. Therefore, we need to plan all our annual targets within the 6 months. The best season is from November to June, right? And then from June to December, what we do is we encourage the farmers to cultivate the plantation. And then we encourage or build the capacity of the farmers on fish cultivation. We do the monitoring. We help the farmers on how to maintain the farm pond. It's a year-long activity, but the construction is one challenge. You cannot construct the farm ponds all through the year. Okay, so these are our challenges. And then, as I said, the showing economics, the fish, the fruit, the farmers got encouraged. And another thing, there are so many other components in water conservation. You can do the tank desiltation, or you can construct a new irrigation tank in 50 acres, 100 acres. If you have big money, right? You can construct the check dam. You can construct. There are many different type of components for water conservation. But the most economical thing will be construction of a farm pond. It may sound like 20,000 rupees for one beneficiary, but if you look at the benefit from it, for example, if I want to construct a 20-acre new irrigation tank, I need to buy the land, right? Land is very expensive, and to construct a new barn and everything is going to be very expensive, right? So compared to those new construction of new tank, encouraging the farmers to have their own farm pond, right? And this spread farm pond, for example, in one village, if we have 100 farm ponds spread in a radius of 2 kilometers, it is going to create ecological balance. Constructing one tank in one corner of the village, sometimes the tank percolation is not spread into many kilometers. It's just nearby. But if you're spreading these 100 farm ponds around the village, right? Everywhere the water is collected and everywhere the water is recharged, so that the existing structures will be better utilized, right? So we feel this is very economical and very efficient model to really maintain the ecological balance at the grassroots level.
Thank you. So that's very inspiring. In spite of the limitations that we have, we can only do it few months a year, and still we could do already 1,500. That's very interesting. And second important point that you have said, mentioned, that you are pitching the business model. Basically, it's not usual in social projects. So it's always free, and we give it and go and implement. But rather, you are saying that you give this, but the loss is much lesser than what the gain is. So that's very interesting. I think that is how we should go about in social projects. So that's very interesting details about farm pond. I think most of the audience are now fully equipped with what is farm pond and how to go about implement it. But let us now go to Mr. Purvash and hear about at program level, at decision making level, because farm ponds cannot be implemented on their own because there is a 20,000 to 30,000 cost involved in JCB and other aspects, machinery aspects that we will need to engage. So how, what kind of CSR initiatives, can you touch upon your CSR initiatives? Plus also, is there any specific reason for you considering farm pond as a strategic option for your CSR programs? Over to you, Mr. Purvash.
Thank you, Vijay. It's a pleasure being here in the esteemed presence of two domain experts. I am more of a generalist, but I can always give you a perspective from a corporate end. And this is an extremely important subject and one which is vital for us. At Pernod Ricard India, we believe that water is at the heart of a community's growth and prosperity. and we take pride in being stewards of this essential natural resource. Okay, to put this in context, Pernod Ricard India as a company is water positive, which means that we replenish more groundwater at the aquifer level than we withdraw for our business operations. And all of this we do at a watershed level of our operations. In 2019, we were 1.2 times water positive. And this year, we're in fact aiming to reach about 2.6x. Okay. And our commitment towards creating water secure communities near our plants through systematic and sustainable practices is built on social and environmental needs, and also strongly contributes to national agenda, the global agenda. If you talk about the SDG 6 for clean water and sanitation, the regional priorities, as well as the national priorities, say laid by the Niti Aayog. We're doing so by strategically mapping the water stress at the watershed level of our operations across India, with help of global tools like the WRI's World Research Institute's Global Water Risk Atlas and the India Water Tool. How this has helped us is that this has enabled us in developing structured programs which are centered around fostering water resilience with communities. So they look at components of surface storage, they look at natural harvesting structures, they also look at embedding deep aquifer recharge channels for groundwater replenishment, but also tying it with people's mainstay, which is agriculture. Okay, so agriculture and livelihoods, and which is where our water development program, that is WAL, Water, Agriculture, Livelihood, comes in. We aim to foster resilience by safeguarding the availability once, the quality of water and the quantity of safely managed water for our communities. And in the year 2020 alone, we have built and renovated about 673 water structures ranging from farm ponds, from storage tanks, from recharge wells, nala bunds, water harvesting structures, all with a single vision to ensure that communities around India have access to water 365 days a year. Why farm ponds? See, farm ponds have been an effective tool. We've heard about the historical context. We've heard about the contemporary context from Shoury as well, and how it helps small farmers. So farm ponds have been an effective tool for addressing myriad issues, especially related to ownership of water resources, storage, and recharge right in the vicinity of people's agricultural fields or homes. Okay, the WAL program focuses on farm pond interventions specifically around the needs of small and marginal farmers, for whom reliable supply of water is often a common hardship. Okay, right from serving their needs for field irrigation, say, as demonstrated by Shoury as well, farm ponds also serve as a respite for livestock and is also useful for domestic purposes if you have. And talking about our impact there, more closely with the context of this webinar, our project Jala Vikasa with Bala Vikasa itself has constructed about 590 farm ponds in just the past year, adding a total water potential of about 255 million liters. And like Shoury said, again, helping individual farmers secure year-round access to irrigation water and also strengthen their livelihoods with innovations such as pisciculture that we're doing. Okay. Elsewhere in Shivpuri, we've done about 50 farm ponds along with earthen check dams, adding about 30 million liters of water. And that project particularly works with marginal tribal farmers in that region who were earlier migrating out to cities nearby as far as Mumbai. The farm ponds have been instrumental in helping them keep an year-round supply of water, and they serve the dual purpose of sort of providing a surface storage as well as facilitating percolation to the aquifers itself. And having said all this, we've seen real transformation change that these little water bodies, these are all pretty little water bodies, and in isolation, when you go to a field visit, when you're doing a review, when you look at it in isolation with a particular farmer, it doesn't seem much. Okay, one single water body. Funders often like to focus on large scale water bodies. They want to restore rivers. Okay, they want to get into desiltation of large scale tanks. But what we've seen more specifically in the example of, say, Pernod Ricard India Foundation and projects like Jala Vikasa and many others like our project Vikalp in Shivpuri, Madhya Pradesh, in Dera Basi, Punjab, in Nasik, in Behror, Rajasthan, what we've seen is that these farm ponds have been bringing a very transformational change very, very subtly. My favorite is an example of, say, Miss Panabai, who's a tribal farmer in MP. She belongs to this particularly vulnerable tribal group called the Sahariya community in MP. And last year, she was able to grow her first ever winter crop in her lifetime. Okay, she's been a subsistence farmer throughout her life. Has an about acre of ancestral land. But she's never been able to grow a winter crop because the water dries up and her family has to migrate to Bombay to work as migrant laborers on day jobs and things like that. But last year, she and her entire family stayed behind, and they could grow wheat, they could grow barley and many other subsistence household crops, and even say chilies, even tomatoes, even potatoes, in conjunction with sustainable agricultural intervention that we do. And this was her first ever crop. So I think we can always bank on these little stories of change, because ultimately at the end of the day, all the entire sea is made up of drops of water that rains down from the sky, right? So yeah, so that's it from my end, Vijay. Back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Purvash. Thank you so much for giving such a wonderful, information about your programs. And it's inspiring to see that the vision, the water positive vision that you have. And almost you already said that you have done over 670 different variety of water conservation structures, completed over 55 million liters of water saving. That these are all very good big figures. And in fact, the more importantly, the vision that you have, for the communities, transforming, bringing in the transformation in their lives is more important. We should applaud such kind of initiatives, because earlier we all knew that this funding is given, it's done. But whereas now you are getting more into how to implement it effectively, see the impact, outcomes, measuring, and bringing in all the participation from different stakeholders of the community. That is wonderful to see, and in fact that is the way to go for the corporate India. I think you are leading the way, so that's really wonderful to hear. With that, let me again go back to Shoury Reddy. We have seen in the video that you have a big vision for Jala Vikasa program and implementing many farm ponds with a target. Can you briefly touch upon that aspect so that we'll go towards the end of the panel?
I would like to add here, Mr. Jay, I would like to add here, I'm sorry for interruption.
No problem.
The farm ponds created and shown by Mr. Shoury Reddy, and the impact that was created by Mr. Purvash, they're very excellent. In fact, they go a long way in motivating small and marginal farmers. In fact, the trouble is to go to them, to motivate them, to educate them, give them the economics, and do such types of very hard work. The hard work is not limited. So we have to penetrate to their level and impress on them the need for doing this type of activity. Now, I would like to add here the Mission Kakatiya, the flagship program, with lift irrigation projects. We are going to revitalize and recharge the groundwater. Maybe you might have also observed some of our major perennial rivers like Godavari and Krishna, they have become ephemeral. They have dead. That's because of ecological imbalance, over exploitation of groundwater resources, lack of recharge to the aquifer. So we have been monitoring the impact of Mission Kakatiya by lift irrigation projects and filling the water bodies. We are going to revitalize and improve the groundwater. And with these farm ponds, the farm pond, the satellite imagery of Telangana shows 46,000 water bodies by Great Kakatiyas. Now, if you go by this number, there will be millions. So if all these farm ponds are filled with water, real rainwater harvesting, so if they are going to add it to the aquifer, they will enhance the groundwater potential. And now we are able to revive and regenerate the ephemeral Godavari, the perennial Godavari. This is what is going to be very big story, big contribution in ecological imbalance. We are retrieving the dead Godavari river. Earlier it was a perennial river. Now it has become ephemeral for the last 15, 20 years. We have been seeing at Ramagundam, the dry river, there's not even a drop of water. Now, after the lift irrigation, after the construction of, after the renovation of the Mission Cockatoo, and with these farm ponds, which will be in millions, which we are going to see in shortly, you are going to have a revolutionary aspect in ecological imbalance and revive the old ecosystem and make our Godavari a real perennial scheme. So this is going to have a lot of heritage conservation, heritage protection. We have a heritage of river Godavari with perennial flow. It has become ephemeral. Now with all these things, we are going to revitalize our Godavari and becomes a beautiful contribution of averting ecological imbalance and making it ecological balance. So this I thought I should add to our corporate friends so that they would understand the logic of incorporating the Mission Cockatoo, the farm ponds at the lowest level, at the smallest level. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your remarks, sir. So and value adding to the discussion. To Mrs. Shoury. You're on mute. Yeah.
About the Mission Jala Vikasa, the flagship program of Balavikasa, we actually didn't brand the program Mission Jala Vikasa when we started Farm Pond in 2015. We were just trying to construct farm ponds in the beginning. We thought that's a good one. But when we saw the impact of these farm ponds and the multiple impact, the economic impact, the fish cultivation opportunity, which triggered us, this can help us to scale it up. So then we thought, why only in hundreds, right? Let's do it in thousands. Because if you do one farm pond in one village, it really will not make a benefit. You need to do a few dozens of farm ponds in each village, then only you'll be able to really create an impact. Like, Professor Saab said right now, there is going to be good opportunity in Telangana for flood irrigation from different irrigation projects, right? So that comes only when there's rain. So the farmers can store even this water in the month of January from the flood irrigated government projects. The water will retain even up to summertime also. It will continue because the farm pond will be helping now only in the monsoon season when there is a rainwater collection. But with the irrigation systems, you can also store the water even in summer season. So it will help in continuous recharge of the ecosystem in the region, right? So we want, after looking at the multiple benefit of this project, we thought let's go in a large scale. And then working with many corporate companies, I have observed some companies have big money for CSR spend, and they do not have a big project where they can really create a big impact. Let's say I'm a company, I have 5 crores, right? And I'm giving 50 lakhs to one NGO, I'm giving 50 lakhs to another project. I'm distributing my money into multiple projects, and ultimately I'm not able to really measure a significant impact which is created by my organization. Spending in education, spending in health, spreading money is not a solution, right? So, but for some companies, they have big money, but there's no big project, right? So I thought, let's create a big project so that big companies can collaborate in the Mission Jala Vikasa of Balavikasa. See, construction of 20,000 farm ponds is a matter of 40 crores. If 5 companies, like our PRA, right, who is our good partner, they helped us to construct 1,000 farm ponds. Last year, they helped us for 600 farm ponds, and now this year again, another 500 farm ponds. So we have a big partner like that. So if 5 companies join Balavikasa, it's not a big task to achieve 20,000 farm ponds. And building that many farm ponds in a concentrated area is going to create a huge impact and a very good model which can be scaled up by other people. Right? Clean drinking water is required across the country, and water conservation is required across the country. Right? So therefore, we feel this is a very good model. So in the coming years, we want to promote this Jala Vikasa model, and we welcome anybody who want to collaborate with Balavikas's Mission Jalavikasa project. Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you, sir. So that's a wonderful vision, and it's I can see the inclusive development that can happen. We have been discussing it for the past 1 year, and I really wish on behalf of all the audience that we will achieve that very soon. With that, let me go to the last question of the panel. So I would request Mr. Purvash to start on this. The role of corporate companies, in this entire farm pond related programs. You already touched it upon, but in general for the entire corporates, what advice you have? Plus, also, what are the opportunities and what is the way forward according to you? For the corporate India, if they have to engage in such water conservation measures.
No. So this question in part has already been answered by Shoury. Very rightly said that a lot of big companies with a lot of big ticket CSR budgets, some may have almost running it in 1,000 crores, will not have large scale integrated strategic projects, okay, and they might be struggling to say spend their monies in activities, in many other things which are just one-time efforts, okay, rather than a long-term programmatic effort with a strong need articulation, with a strong robust monitoring and evaluation, and above everything a very strong vision to achieve something, okay. So something like what Shoury articulated. So that becomes the core of say how businesses have to move forward. And say my message to businesses and in general would be that while what we may do at the core of our respective businesses may be different, okay. Some may be into oil, some may be into wines and spirits like us, some may be into other FMCG areas, but our purposes as businesses for society is common, okay. We can't whisk away our responsibilities there, that ways, and thus we need to harness the power of collaborations, not merely by means of NGO partnerships, but also looking at public-private partnerships, and also looking at even corporate partnerships, which in a multi-stakeholder consortia where NGOs, multiple corporates come in together, something like a project Jala Vikasa that Shoury talked about, with a shared vision and roadmap to transform local geographies, as well as also steward the national growth story. Collaborative ecosystems of corporates, of NGOs, of government, of international philanthropic organizations, and most importantly, community members. I think what I like most about, say, Bala Vikas's approach is the involvement of community members. It's the very strong community leverage that you guys bring in. And rooting all of this in a systemic thinking and a systemic change philosophy, I think it will be key to drive progress in key sectors. We're an agrarian economy, so we have to work around water and agriculture, which is about 80% usage of water in the industry. But there are larger issues that plague our communities, and agriculture and livelihoods even pave way to nutrition, for example, food security, okay. From a human development context, it's also about education, it's also about non-agricultural livelihoods, but at the core of it, because India still remains an agrarian economy, and what COVID has shown us is that many industries have taken a hit, okay. Many industries in a corporate, non-corporate area have taken a hit, but agriculture has remained resilient. It has remained a rock for so many people. In many of our programs, we've in fact this year we've done something called Poshan Vatikas, or nutrition gardens, which are mapped to people's farm ponds or the nearest water bodies that we've created, so that they could say reap a subsistence living out of it. They could like again Shoury talked about, let go of expenses related to vegetables, expenses related to fruits, and we've done it very innovatively, like fruiting trees on the bunds of farm ponds and things like that. So I think this systemic thinking, where we envision water along with all aspects of community living, water at the crux of all development, I think it will be key to restoring livelihood. It will be key to building resilience for the long term, especially in a post-COVID era, especially when COVID has reversed decades of progress in less than a year. And as co-partners here, working with communities, we not only need to rebuild, we need to rebuild better and build it for the long term rather than the short term. So yeah, that's it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you, Purvesh. So I can see that
Now, you were referring all the time about the NGOs and all that. Now, in addition to the NGOs, the government also should come forward. The Department of Agriculture, the
Truly.
Department of Minor Irrigation, and the Rural Development, the Department of Rural Development. They should be also become a partner into it. We should dovetail them into the system so that, you know, the public-private partnership will become much stronger. And the involvement of Agriculture Department, the involvement of minor irrigation, because they're already looking after the restoration of tanks and all that. And by incorporating the government into this, dovetailing with them and working together, we'll make a beautiful model. And I'm sure we can interact at the government level, at the secretariat level, at the secretary level of agriculture, and then irrigation, and then rural development. No, we have to make them an integrated project so that the corporate sectors will also be very happy to interact with the government institutions. So we will let us all work together in improving the agrarian economy and help enhance the outcome of the agricultural produce. And we should also see that the produce produced by the great farmers are properly rewarded and properly protected, the prices especially, and then the preservation part of it. So we have to also see simultaneously the produce they have created should be properly utilized. And we have seen in the recent past, the tomatoes, so many hundreds of tons of tomatoes were just thrown for a rupee a kilo. So what type of incentive the farmer will have? So let us see that proper nourishment is also given to them by integrating all the institutions of the government along with NGOs, and actually the NGOs will become the accelerators for promoting the whole activity in conjunction with the governmental. I thought I should add this so that we will work together in tandem. Thank you.
Exactly, sir. I can't agree more on what you said, what you and Mr. Purvesh has mentioned, especially taking a holistic view, not just farm pond as a small structure, but how it is going to integrate a lot more other aspects, plus the shared vision, shared value for all the stakeholders, and coming together in collaboration, not just one corporate and NGO, but also multiple corporates coming together and multiple NGOs and communities coming together and implementing a big program is going to make a big difference. And apart from that, what you have also mentioned, government coming forward to support the programs is also an important aspect. And this is all on the one side of the coin. And second important point that you mentioned is about once we have the product, once we have the harvest, whatever the fruits that that comes out after doing all this program, there has to be a proper market linkage. There has to be proper valuation for the product at the end of the day. If that is not there, and all that what we are doing will be fruitless. So that's a very important point that you have added. I would also request Mr. Shoury to add about some points to the way forward and opportunities.
Yeah. As we are all talking about the water conservation, now especially talking about the CSR aspect, I think all of you agree we have an opportunity to spend CSR money which is permitted under Schedule 7, right? So there is no problem to spend any type of money on any type of water conservation activities. So any corporate anywhere in the country, right, we need to conserve the water. So it will be good if we can contribute towards the water conservation, especially being a business, being into impact business now with the CSR thing. It will be always professional. It will be always good to talk about the SDGs, right? The Sustainable Development Goals. So water conservation, we always need to connect to the SDGs. Now we have talked, when you are in business sector, we need to talk in high level, right? So I am contributing towards the SDG goal number 6, which is clean water and wash. Or I'm contributing to SDG number 11, climate change, right? Or I'm contributing towards sustainable communities. So this project of water conservation will definitely help the companies to connect yourself to SDGs and report in a better way, right? So we may create something good, but if we don't report that properly, also we will not be able to catch that the achievement what we made. So please try to connect always to the SDGs in not only water, but whatever you are trying to implement, be it education, be it health, whatever it is, in your communications, in your reporting, try to connect your impact created to the impact targeted through the SDGs, so that your company is shown in a big way how it is contributing. And then, CSR is one opportunity where we need to spend, or where we can spend the money for water conservation. And then now it's a big thing for any business to be a responsible business. It's not just making money and then spending profits for charity, right? Being responsible business is more important than spending profits to charity, right? And what is responsible business? See, we have two type of companies. Some companies depend on water, and some companies damage water, right? So, a company which is depending on water, you are using the natural resources. Therefore, it is your responsibility to put back. If you are taking 1 liter from the ground for your business, right? You put back maybe 2 liters or 3 liters, right? See, doing something bad is not a problem, but if we don't rectify the problem, is a problem, right? We do mistakes and we go to God and we ask for forgiveness, right? There's a forgiveness for every sin that you do, right? So similarly, for businesses, we may do some sin, but there is a way of getting ourselves forgiven by rectifying the things that we do. And then the damage. Sometimes I may run a company and my discharge is going to pollute the groundwater, or pollute the river basin, or pollute something, right? It's our responsibility, right? I pollute everything that is around me, but I spend 1 crore for some CSR, right? It is good, but not good enough, right? What is the best is try to take the responsibility of not damaging anything with our business by taking care of the water conservation initiatives, right? So responsible business is the way forward for any company, much before CSR. CSR is secondary thing, right? But being a responsible business is the main priority of any company. In the future, the clients will be looking at, are you a responsible business? If you're a responsible business, then I'll buy your product. If you're not responsible business, if you're not water positive, I will not buy your product, right? So it's very important for companies to look into this aspect and try to see what best you can do. Think globally and then act locally is a thing that we need to do.
Thank you, sir. I think it is very important point to note. It is now everyone is looking at the responsibility in doing business. CSR alone may not be sufficient, the traditional form of CSR at least. So now it has to be strategic in nature and looking at big picture, like the Companies Act alignment, the SDGs alignment is very important. The activities that we do, apart from taking care of the society and environment in the operations. So thank you. And I think with that, we finish the last question, and just a small announcement that Mr. Purvash has an important meeting to attend. So he had left just a minute back. So if there are any questions for him, so we can forward it to him later. So you can still put the questions if you have any to Mr. Purvash. So with that, let me start the Q&A session. We have a few questions already in the chat box and Q&A. Let me read them out for you. The first one is by G. Srinivas. This is a good webinar. Before I attended Shoury Reddy sir conference meeting in Mongol through NGO. So we're glad to hear that. So this is not a question, but yeah, feedback. Thank you, Mr. Srinivas. Hi everyone. This is from Padmayundev Joda. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Hi everyone. I represent an FPO. We have farm pond subsidy scheme by Rajasthan government, but the cost of digging a farm pond is still high for farmers. Can we solve this issue?
See, the NREGA, right, NREGA is helping the farmers to dig the farm pond by allocating the labor. That's what I actually wanted to tell before, but I forgot. So we can collaborate with the NREGA also. NREGA may be spending about 10,000-15,000 allocating some annual labor. and then a company can also collaborate with the Gram Panchayat, and together maybe you can make it more economical and make it more impactful. Because when manually dug farm pond, they will not go very deep. They may do 1 meter, 1.5 meter, right? And then if you can go a little deeper, that's when the water will be really percolating into the ground. And then if you have to dig only 5 feet, you have to spread wider, then you are losing more land for a shorter depth. The more deep you go, the more percolation and then less land utilization, right? So wherever there is a government supporting farm pond with the manual labor under the NREGA scheme, the companies can also collaborate with the Gram Panchayats or the local governments, and then try to help them to make it even more bigger by cost sharing. So I think this is one way, converging with corporate working with government, or government working with corporate will help in making the program more economical and more efficient.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I hope that answered your question. The next one is from Poonam Pandit. Is it difficult to work on rainwater harvesting instead of farm pond? Which option is better and why?
See, even farm pond is rainwater harvesting itself, right? There are different type of structures for rainwater harvesting. A big tank is rainwater harvesting, check dam is rainwater harvesting, right? Or what you collect at the house domestic level also is rainwater harvesting. There are different type of structures, right? So we only need to see the feasibility of the project, how the community will come forward, how they will invest, how they see the benefits, right? See, rainwater harvesting at the village, at house level also is good. But to make the farmers more interesting, economic benefit will encourage them more to participate in the program. If you tell them just store the water in your house, spend 20,000 rupees to construct the rainwater harvesting at your house, many may not be able to come. Or they will come when you are promoting roof water harvesting project for drinking water purpose, where there is a acute need for drinking water. Right? Always need-based structures are more important. It's not what we want to is important. What will people prefer? How would they use it? Right? How would they benefit it? The concept may be very good. The concept which worked in one area may not work in the next village, because the problem is different, the background is different. Therefore, there is no single project which is the best in water conservation. Depending on the community where we are working, depending on the geography where we are working, because if check dam is somewhere good or contour ponds are somewhere good, it will not work in my area where it is plain or something. So we have to look at technicalities, we have to look into impact, we have to look into the community ownership and other things.
Thank you, sir. I think we have a few more questions. We'll spend another 3-4 minutes before closing. I'm just launching a poll. I request all of you, please give your feedback. So while the Q&A will go on, so you can give a feedback. It will take only, I think, 5-6 seconds for you to click on the options. So please do. I'm launching it. I'll go to the next question after launching. So this question is from G. Srinivas. So he's asking, how to implement farm pond in rural area? What is steps of construction of farm pond through CSR activity? I think Mr. Srinivas is partly answered in the presentation, but maybe Ms. Shoury, you may add a little more if it is there.
The question is how to construct farm ponds with CSR.
In rural area, what are the steps of construction of farm pond through CSR activity?
Yeah, we have clearly explained through our PowerPoint, the community building model, the project design model, right, and the monitoring model. Another thing I forgot to say was we have a very effective monitoring mechanism. We have online, we have created, because we are going to do the Mission Jal Vikas in a very big manner, 20,000 farm ponds. For example, if every year we are going to construct 2,000 farm ponds, it becomes difficult to monitor. So our program officer, Tirupati, he designed an online platform. Every farm pond construction, from application, the construction of the farm pond, the water utilization, right? Everything is digitalized. It's geotagged. A donor can go and see where the farm pond is there, who is the beneficiary, when it was dug, and all that. So we are trying to use the technology to make the program more effectively monitored and brings more impact.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I request participant to clock in your feedback. So we still have a few more participants. request you once again to please offer your feedback. We have another interesting question from Ram Subbarayan. What is the best approach to construct farm ponds in sandy soil area? How to hold rainwater in such cases most effective way and at affordable cost?
So generally in sandy area,
Can I answer that question?
yes, sir.
Yeah, sir, please.
In sandy soils, there will be very high permeability. Very high permeability. The permeability is an order of about 10 to the power of -3 centimeters per second. So under such circumstances, there will not be much retention of water in the farm ponds. So in which case, we will go for geomembranes. We will go for geomembranes and try to go in for lining aspect of it, because we want partly to be water to be retained in the farm pond, and part of it can go into the recharge into the groundwater basin. So there should be a semi-permeable membrane in the form of a geomembrane. So if we use a geomembrane, it will help retain the water, and at the same time, part of water will always be available for infiltration. So we have also done this exercise in some of the areas where the highly porous sands are located. So they're excellent water harvesting structures. So somebody was asking question in water harvesting structure, which is the best? In fact, taking into account all the aspects, definitely a farm pond is going to be much more advantageous in rainwater harvesting, because he is going to harvest the rainwater in his own field, at the same time utilize the water for his own benefit. So it has multiple advantages. So in sandy soils, a geomembrane will help reduce the seepage of water.
Right. Thank you, sir. I think there is also an extended question. So I think they are also concerned about the cost, the affordability, because membranes and all may cost more than a traditional farm pond construction. How much it will be additional cost, and how effective it will be feasible in terms of costing for the farmer?
No, it would definitely, because the moment you think of an artificial material, it would cost, maybe it would go by another 20%, approximately by another 20%, but it would enhance the availability of water even in a dry season. So even in summer, you will be able to retain the water in the farm pond because of this membrane. And you see, this water is very, very costly water. See, for example, you are lifting water from Kaleshwaram, you are lifting water from Devadala. There is a cost variation. The water from Kaleshwaram is a costly water, because we are lifting water from 100 meters to almost 600 meters. In Devadala, we are lifting water from 70 meters to 400 meters. So the cost of water is very high. So you cannot use this costly water for going paddy and all that. Similarly, here also, when you conserve this water through farm ponds with the help of geomembranes, it's a very, very costly water. So you have to use it very judiciously for your cropping pattern. You have to go for value addition of the agriculture.
Thank you, sir. I think it's also important to note in areas where there is a sandy soils are there. I think the water availability is also scarce. You know, if you can really save water in that area, I think even at 20% additional cost, it is really worth doing it. So I think that's really good. So if participants have any more questions, please do it. We already passed the time by 5 minutes. We thought of closing by 4:30. We have one feedback from Mr. Abhijit Sarkar from Shasha Fair Trade, Kolkata. It's a great webinar. Thank you for detailed discussion on farm pond concept. So yeah, if anyone of you want to share your feedback or comments, please post in the chat box. We'll be happy to hear. It will motivate us to do more such useful sessions for all of you. So also last announcement, we also distribute certificates for the participants. So please drop in your name, full name, in the chat box, so that we will not make any mistake in terms of spelling or full names while issuing the certificate. So please feel free to post your full name. And if there are no further questions, we'll go. I think there is further question from Pradyumna Dev. The Rajasthan Farm Pond scheme is such that it provides rupees 60,000 for Kacha farm pond of 20 by 20 10 meter cube dimension. For a farm pond with 300 micron pond liner, government is providing a subsidy of 90K. But all this gets credited after the completion of project. The input cost is too high for farmers. Despite being a great scheme, it is failing to help the small and marginalized farmers. Can the input cost get shared or further subsidized by CSR?
Unfortunately, we lost CSR panel member.
Yeah, right.
I think some companies are willing to help in farm pond. How Balavikas is also collaborating already with 2 corporate companies, and another 2 are under the process of signing MOU with Balavikas for this. Definitely, water conservation is one of the big priority for many corporates. So you can very well explore with the companies that are working in water conservation in your area. I think they may subsidize or they may give you advance, right? For example, you ask them to give 10 farm pond budget, which you will invest, get back the money from government, and again, it's a kind of working capital to create higher impact. That model also is possible. So you can very well communicate and try to convince some companies around you or who is already with you. It's very much possible. They can help you.
Yeah, I think I with Sir's opinion, Mr. Shoury's opinion, but it also depends on the corporate's preference. So though it is aligning with their strategy, everything, but at the end of the day, how they get convinced, with the concept and going along with the government scheme, something which they have reservation. Again, it's based on how you convince your network. Sir, Professor, you're saying something, please. You are saying something, sir?
I'm happy we are able to interact with the corporate sector, try to give our ideas to them. And we wanted that they should come forward very liberally, because every corporate sector uses water. So water conservation directly or indirectly is the responsibility of every institute. And as human beings, we live on water, and it is a limited quantity and quality. So we would appeal to all corporate sectors to be very liberal in financing some of these projects, so that the real people at the downtrodden will be getting a helping hand. And we appreciate their cooperation in helping the really downtrodden, increasing the groundwater potential, enhancing the agrarian economy, and helping them to improve their economic values. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, sir. I think we should close the session. We are already past 10 minutes past the session time. I thank everyone. Just one thing before closing, Ram Subrayan has thanked you for suggesting about the geomembrane. He has given some details about it. I think it may work for them. At least we're happy that someone has got instant solution through this webinar.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shoury sir and Professor Pandangarao Garu, for being with us, patiently answering all the questions that we have, and most important, thank you all the audience participants for being with us and showing interest in the webinar. We'll keep conducting such webinars for your benefit, which are relevant topic, contemporary and useful in nature, with most experienced people like Professor and Mr. Shoury. Thank you all for joining once again, and we will keep sending you the emailers which for the upcoming seminars and webinars, all the events that we conduct. So please feel free to join, and looking forward to seeing you all in future with us. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. So we are closing the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Good day to you.